Hi, everyone. My name is Susan Bratton, and you're listening to Real Conversations with Sheeta and Nikki, and I'm today's featured guest. So let's get into it.
Lunch breaks, outtakes, we know how to vibe. Interviews, interviews, latest news. Read your comments too. What are you thinking? Do have lunch with us too. Conversations with you. Real conversations with Sheeta and Nikki. Real conversations with Sheeta and Nikki. Real conversations with Sheeta.
Hi, everyone. This is Real Conversations with
Sheeta
and Nikki. We are switching gears a little bit on this episode. On today's episode, we are speaking with Miss Susan Bratton. Susan is an intimacy expert to millions of people. She's an entrepreneur and an author of over 30 books. Her books and programs offer practical, actionable pleasure techniques and bedroom communication skills that are fit for any individual.
Yes. Those books include Relationship Magic, Revive Her Drive, the Steamy Sex Ed Video Collection, and her Amazon #1 international bestseller, Sexual Soulmates, the 6 Essentials of Connected Sex. She has sold over 1.2 million copies, and Susan has been featured on major networks such as CBS, Fox, and the CW. Let's all welcome Susan to the show.
Yeah.
Hi, cutie beauties.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of sexual soulmates, I have to tell you, I want to give your listeners the whole book for free because I am celebrating today. I just did this keynote presentation at a conference down in Texas, and I happened to be talking to at the conference. There's a big trade show floor with all kinds of health kinds of products on it, and they have books for sale. They have like a bookstore, and they asked me, because I was one of the keynotes, if I would feature my book in the bookstore, and I said sure. And so I shipped a bunch of books to them, and there were like 3 copies left at the end. And Michael, the guy who runs the bookstore, was like, do you want me to send them back to you? Do you want me to donate them? What do you want me to do? And I'm like, oh no, send them back. I like to give them away. And I said, hey, what were the top 3 selling books? And he goes, oh, yours was number 2. Number 1 was a book about faith from Ben Greenfield. Sexual Soulmates was the number 2 book, and Keto Flex from Ben Azadi was number 3. And I thought, well, there you go. You've got your faith, you've got your sex, and you got your food. I mean, it's just so interesting that those are like the perennially interesting things. And so to celebrate today, instead of having anybody have to go to Amazon to buy it, I'm going to drop a free link for you so that anybody can have my #1 best-selling book. It is, and I got to check. I want to make sure I give it to you right, because I usually don't give this book away. I used to sell it. Sexual Soulmates with an S, Soulmates, plural, book.com, sexualsoulmatesbook.com. And you can download the PDF of the whole book with my 6 essentials for connected sex. The things that I've learned really make couples have great lovemaking, pleasurable connection, deep intimacy, relaxation, joy, pleasure, and fun.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I'm going to go on there now and just get my free copy now.
Yes.
I am so
Let's get started.
Yes, that is so excited. I'm so glad that you're offering that to our listeners.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're going to take full advantage of it.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I love on your website how you talk about, it's not just intimacy, you talk about self-love, self-care. So how did you really get into educating individuals about intimacy? How did that become your passion?
Yeah, my passion is passion. That's what I always say. And it really is. It's so funny. I literally just like to teach sex techniques. I did not, I was listening to one of your latest episodes with that beautiful young woman who became basically a therapist. And was dealing with a lot of trauma and things like that. And I'm like, God love her for doing that, because that is not my jam. I'm just not the kind of person who wants to sit in a room and go through someone's traumas and fix their traumas.
Yeah.
I'm more like, oh, you have a pretty good sex life and you want to make it really, really good?
Yeah.
I'm your girl. I'm for the people who like sex and want it to be better.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, at that keynote presentation, I did a new thing I'm doing called how to create your own personalized sex life plan, like your sex life bucket list.
Okay.
You can get that at sexlifebucketlist.com, by the way. It's a downloadable PDF. I don't keep any of the data. It's just, you just get a PDF from me and you download it. And then there's a video and I walk you through the PDF. And essentially what I do is I tell you 48 different fun things you could be doing in the bedroom, solo or with a partner. And then you check the ones that sound good to you. And then you make your bucket list so that you know what you want to do, because like everything, sex is learned skills. I mean, you know, we just get better and better at sex. Luckily, sex is the best when you're old, if you stay in good health, because you have more skill. It's mastery. You've learned more. You're more comfortable with your body. You've given up worrying about, oh, I'm not perfect, right? You're like,
Right.
it's as good as it's gonna get, and it's not gonna get any better, right? So let's just not worry about that and have some fun, right?
Yeah.
That really helps a lot.
Yeah.
So the sex life bucket list is, I think, a really, really nice thing, because what it does is it essentially gives you a bunch of great ideas of things you can do. And it's so cute, because after my keynote, a lot of people came up to me and they're like, I loved it. It was so good. And I said, well, what was on your bucket list? What was on the top of your bucket list?
Right.
And the women, almost all of them said, well, one of the things at the top was having my own orgasms during intercourse, that I didn't realize it was a learned skill. I thought maybe I just couldn't do it. Now I know I just need to learn how, and I want to.
Right.
And for guys, it was, oh, well, I didn't realize that men could be multi-orgasmic, but I would like to learn how to do that and make her see all the pleasure that I'm having being with her. But my number two thing is, so for the women, her number two thing was, I want to do all the things. And for his number two, it was, I want to do all the things she wants to do.
Nice.
It was so cute. It was like,
Yeah.
you know how men are. They're in service to the goddess. They
Yeah.
really are. Men
Yeah.
get a bad rap, like he's selfish or whatever. That's mostly just that they just don't know
Yeah.
they need to be in service to the goddess. They just haven't learned that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That's true. The bucket list is that's a great idea. Definitely. How do you come up with these different techniques, Susan? You're so innovative and, trailblazer. How do you really come up with these techniques?
Research, Nikki.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So that's how I do it. I have some research partners, and I have a husband of 31 years. So I just figure things out, learn things, listen to things. People talk to me, people ask me questions. I mean, there's always just catalysts for growth everywhere you look when you're in a growth mindset. I don't have to tell you that. You guys talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So, it's just what I do. And so it's like anything, when you are a sex technique writer, you're just out there looking for sex
Yeah.
technique ideas and trying
Yeah.
new things. As a matter of fact, my husband, he just this morning, I had sent him my sex life bucket list when I was done creating that experience for people. I sent it to him and I'm like, here's what's on my bucket list right now. And this morning he said, hey, what is on your sex life? And I was like, I sent it to you. He goes, oh, well, I'm gonna go find that. And I was like, oh, good man.
Okay. Wow. So have you always been like this, freely talking about sex, or like what got you to this point?
Yeah. Well, and you did ask me that and I didn't answer it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
When I was, so I'm 60 years old. And when I was about 42, I'd been married 11 years. and my sex life was not going well.
Mhm.
And I was one of those women who thought that I couldn't have orgasms from intercourse. And,
Mhm.
I just really didn't enjoy intercourse after more than a decade of having it with my husband and not really finding it that satisfying. It was satisfying for him, but not
Right.
me.
Mhm.
And so we did some counseling, but what really helped was going to sex workshops. We were like, well, our problem is our sex life. Most couples, it's either sex or money.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, it was sex. We had good careers. We had, I was in the Silicon Valley tech world.
Mhm.
And I like to say it wasn't Al Gore that invented the internet. It was me. And I'm being so silly, but I have met him and he is a nice man. He is a
Mhm.
heartfelt man. And so we went to therapy and that was okay, but not great. It helped
Mhm.
overcome some of my issues, but
Mhm.
it was really just we just didn't know what to do. And once we
Right.
learned what to do, we're like, oh, sex is really good. This is fun. And then we decided that it was so important to teach other people how to have I like to call it transforming having sex into
Mhm.
making love.
Yeah.
Heart
Yeah.
connected, conscious, present,
Mhm.
sensual,
Mm.
connected, not
Yeah.
friction,
Yeah.
not just
Right.
rubbing the bits,
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
joy, pleasure,
Mhm.
fun, variety. That is what I
Mhm.
like to teach people. So we started a company teaching passionate lovemaking techniques and orgasm
Mm.
skills. And then over time, I realized, okay, people need communication techniques too. It's not enough to know the techniques. You have to be able
Right.
to know what you want and how to
Mhm.
ask for it. And your
Mhm.
partner, in a way that your partner's like super happy to hear your requests
Yeah.
rather than feeling like they're doing something wrong.
Right.
And that's one of the techniques in the Sexual Soulmates is the Sexual Soulmate Pact, which is
Mhm.
how to ask, how to know what you want, how to actually know what you want. Because a lot of women are like, well, I don't know what I want, but I know what I'm
Yeah.
getting it. Right? That's
Yeah.
very common.
Mhm.
And so how to know what you want. Listening
Mhm.
to your body's wisdom. Our bodies are so wise. They are talking to us all the time.
Yeah.
They are telling us. We
Mhm.
just have to listen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
giving us permission to know that every moment of every interaction,
Mm.
what our body wants could be changing. And to be able
Yeah.
to feel free to communicate that. Well, I thought I liked that a minute ago, and now it's bothering me.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Sexual Soulmate Pact is a really good technique, probably the best technique of all the 6 techniques in the Sexual Soulmates book.
Mhm.
So I think I started by the techniques and then I learned
Mhm.
to help people communicate in the bedroom. And then I realized that if things hurt or don't work, you need
Mhm.
help with that too. Because
Yeah.
it's like a lot of people, when something's broken in their genitals, they just stop making love.
Mhm.
And then they stop touching because they don't want to start something they can't finish.
Yeah.
And then they end up being platonic and then they get cranky and then they're just coexisting and they've
Yeah.
lost the romance and the intimacy. And
Mhm.
a lot of people are unaware of how easy it is to fix so many of the problems that happen to our genitals. So I became an expert in fixing the genitals, I'm like, Dr. Fix It. So those are really the 3 legs of a good sex life. They're having good health, getting all the parts working so they feel good,
Yeah.
and being able to communicate and knowing what to do. Good technique, good information, understanding how your bodies work. And when you have those 3 things, you have a great sex life, whether it's with yourself, if you're single, or it's with partners,
Yeah.
it can be good no matter when and what. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important to really understand like your anatomy when it comes to sex and intimacy, because I think a lot of people, when you're younger, you kind of brush past that part when that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So just educating people about that and, how to get aroused and what they want and, what they need to please themselves and to please others, that's really important.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the anatomy is such an incredible thing too. I mean, I've ended up to be such an anatomy nerd. It's
Mm.
fascinating to me. A guy DM'd me on Instagram and he said, I heard someone mention once that there's this entire nerve plex wrapped around the clitoral structure.
Mhm.
And I'm like, can you get me a picture of that?
Mm.
And he's like, I have to think about where I heard it or who said it. I'm like, dude, find that for me. Because that's the kind of stuff I like to look at. A nerve
Wow.
plex around the clitoral structure. That is my jam.
Wow.
Because I think if we women understood that we had as much erectile tissue, I mean, if you imagine a banana,
Mhm.
I usually have a banana around here somewhere. I usually hold one up. And but if you imagine a banana and you imagine the fruit inside the banana is erectile tissue, that's about how much erectile tissue is in a penis. And 50% of the penis is sticking out of the body and 50% goes in and down toward the testicles. So our male body partners, they have this big amount of erectile tissue. If you took that whole banana of fruit, that whole fruit of the banana,
Yeah.
and you kind of like pulled it apart and put it all around our vaginal opening, that's how much we have too. We have the
Wow.
same amount. And we women have been having sex too fast. And we haven't gotten a full vulval engorgement, gotten blood flow into the whole, I like to call it the yoni. That's a tantric lovemaking word for our genitalia. Vulva is a little kind of a nerdy word.
Yeah.
So I like the yoni. I think it sounds so cute.
Yeah.
So imagine having a banana's worth of erectile tissue in your yoni that was never fully erect and you were having sex too fast all the time. You would never have as much pleasure as if you got all of that full of blood, because blood flow is the most important thing for us women as well as for our men. We know our men need it to get that erectile tissue those chambers filled with blood for an erection, but we're not thinking about that for ourselves. And if you think about it, metabolic syndrome, which creates vascular disease, and diabetes, which creates neuropathy, are top 2 healthcare issues in America today. Both destroy vascularization and sensation in our genitals. So anyone who's has presentations of those kinds of diseases they're not enjoying as much pleasure sexually as they could be either. So that's just one more reason to take good care of our health.
Yeah.
Wow. And you know what? Speaking of anatomy, this is a question that I want to know. Okay. What do you do in the instance if you're in this great relationship? He's the perfect guy and he's just not sizable. I mean, can there be, some type of help around this?
Oh, yeah.
What do you do in this instance?
Yeah, it's a super easy answer and you're going to love it. You can make your penis bigger by using something called a vacuum erection device, also commonly called a penis pump. They're used for enlargement. I can't believe you asked me this. Did you know I'm an expert in penis enlargement? Were you just like pretending to be really coy, or did you know this?
I'm glad I asked that question. I did not know that.
That's amazing. Well, I guess your radar is on point today, because I have a book called The Pump Guide, and almost 50,000 copies have been downloaded, and it teaches men and their partners. There's a story in there about Janet, whose husband had always felt like he was too small. And she was like, I was fine with his size, but it really bothered him. And I heard about I was on your email list for your sex techniques, and I got one about penis pumping. And I asked my husband if he would be willing to do it. And now he is proud of his penis.
Wow.
Because that tissue, the way the pump works, it's basically this cylinder. And it goes down over the penis, and it kind of, the vacuums pump pulls the air out of the cylinder, and that makes the penis pull into the cylinder and the blood from his body pull into the penis, which then stretches gently the skin and something called the tunica albuginea, which is the wrapper around, underneath the skin, the wrapper around the erectile tissue inside. And it slowly just tugs on that skin and increases the overall penile volume. It grows new tissue, grows new nerves, it grows new blood vessels and capillaries, and it just expands the entire size of the penis. And the pump that I recommend, because I found that, there's lots of penis pumps out there. Most of them are Chinese novelty toys, not medical devices.
Yeah.
And all of the pumps out there, there are a few companies where you can get a proper fitted size, but no other company besides the one that I work with that makes something called the Whopper. That company has graduated cylinders, so you can buy the pump once and you can just grow slowly over time and graduate up, and it does both length and girth. Most pumps will only do girth, and so he can get fatter, kind of rounder, but not longer. And men, they want length and girth.
Yeah.
So you can get about, in the I would say like 3 months, even the first time you pump, you'll see the difference. Every time you pump, you'll see, oh wow, I've got a firmer erection. There's more blood in there. It's weightier, heftier, heavier. It feels thicker. And what happens is the base of the penis starts to get thick first. That's where the most vacuum pressure starts. And it gets thicker at the bottom, which is helpful because when we're on top of our man, we have to be careful not to hurt their penis. They need a sturdy base for us. So it gets slowly over time, it gets thicker and thicker and thicker and longer and longer and longer. And within like maybe every couple days, a couple times a week, over the course of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, by the time you're at 10 months, you've gotten 20% bigger. Easy inch or two, depending on what you start with. Not only that, but a vacuum erection, I call it hashtag self-care down there. Because as men age and as their testosterone declines and as they get a little plaque in their vascular system from their French fries and barbecue, they start to get less firm. They might still be able to get an erection, but it's not that steel beam they used to have, that veiny, pulsing beam, that man hammer.
Right.
And it just slips away over time, so they don't really notice it. And then they start pumping. That pump, even just to keep the firmness, not even to get larger, just what's called enhancement, not enlargement, is just reversing the atrophy of aging. You know how we shrink? We get little, we get small when we get old. Well, that's happening to our genitals. And so as women, when we shrink, we actually get more laxity. Our vaginal tissue shrinks and we get a little more open and spacious in there. And our male-bodied partners get smaller. So now he's putting a smaller penis in a bigger vagina and you're not getting that. And then your musculature isn't as strong and you're not getting the grip you used to get.
Yeah.
So the pumping really helps for him. And it, even if he doesn't want to get any bigger, he will get firmer and stay harder and last longer. So I love to talk about it because so few people are aware that it's available. And I mean, it's like for $179. You can use a tool and maintain your erection for year after year after year after year. You can reverse the effects of aging on your penis. It is the cheapest, best thing in business today. I swear, it's crazy what a good, what a good thing it is for guys. And so, I've been on some podcasts that have giant audiences, and they've allowed me to talk about pumps, and I've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of men. I mean, the pictures, they send me pictures. Will you look at my penis and tell me what you think? And I'll be like, well, it's a nice size. You'd be happy if it was bigger.
Yeah.
It's a little thin at the base, or it looks like you've got a little crick in it there. Did you have some damage? And I mean, guys, they want help. They want to know what to do, and they trust me. And I'm honored to be able to support men in something so healthy and easy. They just need somebody to be like, dude, it works and it's okay. Just don't overpump.
Yeah.
Because you know how guys are. They're like, I can take it. I'll just go to level 11 the first day. And then they pull the skin and they give themselves a bruise. And I'm like, how many times have I told you? How many times? This is how they are. This is how they are. We know it's the testosterone. That's why we love them.
So how long is that something that will be permanent, or will that be something they will have to like continuously do?
You go into a maintenance mode when you get to the kind of firmness and size that pleases you. Then you just pump for maintenance. And it's kind of like when you go to the gym and you've got your bicep and you're good, but then you gotta keep lifting some weights. You gotta go into the gym a couple times a week to keep it up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
but it feels good and it's nice.
Yeah. It feels good when they're pumping it.
Yeah, it feels really good to them. Yeah, it feels very nice. It feels good to have all that blood coming into the penis. It's very it's almost like calming, and it also makes them very proud. That they will show you. They'll like, baby, look what I did. Look at me now. And you'll be like, oh my gosh. Your penis is so gorgeous. Wow, I can see. Oh, wow. It's like when we met, and oh, you should do that some more, baby. That looks really good. That's gonna feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be all like, I do love our men.
Yeah. So communication is really a big thing, when it comes to intimacy and, knowing what your partner wants or desires. So I know a lot of people talk about like love language. How do you get your partner to be on the same love language as you? Or how do you even discover what your love language is?
Yeah.
Like how does that conversation start?
Yep. Well, love languages, John Gottman created those. I think, was it John, or I forget who created it, but I love the love language. It's just like acts of service, small gifts, touch, verbal appreciation. What's the fifth one? I don't remember. Do you remember the fifth one?
I don't
either, but whatever it is, it's good. And I always think when people think about the love languages, they feel like they're forced to choose. Like, okay, I guess mine is acts of service or touch or, and I'm like, I'll take all the things.
Right.
So the thing that you have to know especially if you're with a guy, is that he doesn't really need a lot of those things that you need. But you need them. You need to be told that you're loved a lot.
Yeah.
You need adoration, appreciation, and objectification. So what you need is you need to hear things a lot. What he wants is respect. And he wants to know he's doing a good job. So your adoration and objectification, like when he tells you how sexy you are, you need details. You want to know exactly what it is about you that turns him on, or it's not believable. And you want to know why he loves you specifically. What are his motivations for loving you? And when you give him the appreciations of doing a good job, he wants to know he did a great job and why he did it, and what are the things you respect about him. It's very important to him. And then as far as gifts, guys just need you to tell them what you want. They can't guess.
Yeah.
So you just need to be like, baby, I want you to buy me a pair of sparkly earrings that look like great big diamonds, but they're fake. Because I'll lose them. Whatever. Or whatever you want.
Right.
And then as far as acts of service, it's really about, he just needs to know what you need from him at a bare minimum and in what order. And it would really be helpful if you just wrote it down.
Yeah.
Because he'll do whatever you want. He just wants to know that he's going to do the things that really make you happy.
Yeah.
And he just can't guess. So that's very important. And for him, he needs most men want you to be very physical with them. They want you to sit on their lap naked. They want to see your naked body. They want you to wear sexy lingerie and underwear and shoes for them. They want you to, dance for them and shimmy for them and shake for them. And they want you to let them know that you want them all the time. And that you're, even if you can't be making love right now, that you would be if you could be.
Right.
They want your desire for them. That's very important to them. They want to be in a passionate, flirty relationship. That helps them. And they want to be fed.
Yeah.
They really need to be fed. Most men, if you can just nurture their bodies in that way, it's very, very helpful for them. Because men are testosterone dominant and women are estrogen dominant. And so for us, we are the prey and they are the predators. Not our partners specifically, but men in general are predators of women and women are the prey. And so we have security issues. We want our man to protect us and take care of us and make sure no harm befalls us. And he doesn't need that at all from us. No. Like, he's not worried about anything happening to him. He thinks he's invincible. Testosterone makes him think he's better than he is. It would be so nice to have testosterone as a woman. We'd be like, oh my God, this is why they think they look so good and they can do no wrong. Now I know. Now I understand. But we're lucky to have each other because we do need our protectors, and we're really good at keeping our eye on 1 million things. We are fabulous multitaskers, and we have all the empathy to understand how to read a room and what's going on with people and the right things to do. Our guys they're like blunt instruments. They can't tell any of that stuff, barely at all. I mean, some can. I'm talking about, it's all on a spectrum. It's always a range of different people and different skills, but generally these are the things that, he's horny every day because he's got testosterone. We're on a 28-day cycle and he doesn't know what that cycle is. He can't guess. So we got to clue him in when we're coming into our turn on, when we just need some space. It's very important for us to just simply communicate with men. That's what they just tell me what's going on. I can handle it. I just can't figure it out.
Right. That is
we're so inscrutable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So whatever you need and want, if you just tell him or ask him, he will do it for you. That's really all it is. It's so much better when he knows that you're happy. And if you need anything, you'll let him know.
Right.
Right. Simple. They're simple.
They are.
And then you just feed them and
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
I think we are afraid to hurt our partner's feelings and give them feedback that's going to make them contract in the bedroom because they want to do a great job. And so often we just, put up with whatever we're getting because we don't know how to correct them. And that does go back to the Sexual Soulmate Pact inside the Sexual Soulmates book. It teaches you how to feel confident that you know what you want and how to ask for it when that's changing all the time for you. For men, they're more steady state because they get that testosterone every day, right? They have a couple blooms of testosterone during the day. And for us, we really are very different day to day. And so we have to check in with ourselves and clue our partner in about what's going on with us and whether we need to be held like an angel and stroked like a kitten or we want to be ravished. I mean, we run the spectrum depending on the day.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about dirty talk.
All right.
So
let's talk about it.
Getting into that, I mean, some people, they're just clueless on how this starts. How do you do it? Some people don't feel comfortable doing it. How do you get into that dirty talk?
Well, there's a couple of things. The first thing is that although my book is called Dirty Talk because that's what people call it. So they're like, oh yeah, dirty talk. I want to know about that. It's actually, I like to call it worship, adoration, appreciation, direction, gratitude, sensual talk, pillow talk. These are the kind omnosing, which is describing what you see, can be very sexy. And so my dirty talk book is how to talk dirty without feeling weird, because that's what most people are worried about. I'm going to say something wrong. I'm going to gross them out.
Yeah.
It's going to feel inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're thinking about dirty talk as actually being things like worship and appreciation,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to feel weird at all.
Right.
And so when you begin to tell your partner what's feeling good or what you see that you like or what you see that's turning you on
Yeah.
or how beautiful they are to you,
Mm.
then you are getting into Susan Bratton's kind of dirty talk. That's the good kind of dirty talk. Anything along those lines. And even things like your vulva or your yoni is so beautiful to me. It smells good. It tastes good. It's pretty to me. It feels so good when I'm inside you. I love your breasts. I love the ample volume of your breasts. I love holding them in my hands. I love stroking your nipples. I love sucking on your nipples. I love kissing your neck. I love your rich, luscious lips. Your mouth is so sexy to me. Our kisses put me into a transcendental state of pleasure. Every time we're apart, I'm thinking about kissing you. Things like that.
Yeah.
That's not dirty.
Yeah, that's just, connecting with your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And moaning. Moaning gets its own special Olympic category because one time I dated a guy who was a little hard of hearing, especially in one ear. And he requested me to give him loud feedback all the time. Because when he got the feedback, he could really deliver sensation. Oh my God, that guy could tap into my systems and just like take me over. But he needed that auditory feedback. So I used to be very quiet in bed. I just didn't make a lot of sounds.
Yeah.
And being with him taught me that it's as much fun for me to moan and squeal and go, like who doesn't want to hear that? I like hearing myself make that sound, And it just broke that whole thing open for me so that I just never worry again about it, except if I'm in an apartment or a, hotel or somebody's house or whatever. I got to behave myself. But generally, I just try to be as loud and vocal as possible because one of the techniques that I teach with Jim Benson, I publish 35 of my own books and programs, but I've also published 20 books and programs of other experts who I think are marvelous. And Jim Benson and I have partnered on a program called Multi-Orgasmic Lover for Men, which teaches men how to have unlimited stamina, because 1 in 4 men has trouble lasting as long as they'd like to or as their partner would like them to. It's very, very common from 20 to 90. It's certain guys, they just struggle with that. And there are ways to reverse that and to get into having as much stamina as you want, going as long as you need to. And that's like step 1. And then step 2 is when you begin to have essentially male multiple orgasms, you become a multi-orgasmic man where you're having full body energy orgasms that feel like the orgasms you used to have one of. Yeah. Because you're not just having that release. You're holding that until you're ready to let that go, but you're having bodygasms. And when you're the kind of man who can have as many orgasms as your woman can, because women, of course, are comfortable believing the notion that they can come and come and come and come during sex. I mean, you can come the whole time you're making love and kissing and breast play and, all the things that you're doing. So when a man can be, when he's not holding back to try to last longer, when he's confident he can last and he can express his pleasure and you can hear him express his pleasure, that creates more pleasure for you. It's like 2 tuning forks where you hit one against a hard object and you hold it next to the other one. And the second tuning fork that you did not hit against anything. It just was right there next to the
Mhm.
resonating tuning fork. It starts to resonate and vibrate with the waves from the first fork. So you're both vibrating with that intense connective energy. Well, that tuning fork technique is what really moaning accelerates that, because when you're hearing your partner like, oh my God, you feel so good. Oh, so great. Oh God, baby. Oh, when you get them to this point where they're going, you're getting pretty turned on. You're like, oh, I think I'm doing a good job. Oh, I think I'm doing a good job right here. This man is having some fun. And then you're like, right now, right? And that's the tuning fork technique.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So, because when you were talking about the love, not the love language, but the dirty talk, and when you were saying everything you were saying, that was great. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're pretty like on point with, what to say at the right time. But what about what's like a good icebreaker, I guess, to get to the level you are at with, really saying those things, and just, easily flowing and saying those things?
Well, I give away my Dirty Talk book. It's at dirtytalkbook.com, and I have verbatims in there that you can steal. And then you can just memorize a couple and make them yours. Just change them to be whatever you want them to be. But I put a lot of my best ones in there. I put all my best ones in there. I always put all my best ones in everything. So my Dirty Talk Greats, there's 5 ways to talk dirty without feeling weird. And moaning is like the 6th one, because it's not really talking. And so that one's not even in there. That's why I always say, and don't forget the moaning. So that's at dirtytalkbook.com. And so it teaches you kind of the noticing, the sharing frames, like, oh, and this is like an app. So they're like, there's the ones before and during sex, and then there's the one after sex, which is what I call sharing favorite frames. And I learned this from one of my mentors, Dr. Patty Taylor. 2 of the programs that I publish, Expand Her Orgasm Tonight and the Seduction Trilogy, were both programs that she wrote for me to teach expanded orgasm techniques and how to seduce your partner with integrity. Move your partner toward more pleasure. And what sharing favorite frames is a technique that is like it's like a frame, like a snapshot, like a photo of a moment in time during your lovemaking date that was particularly hot for you. Like yesterday, when you had me up on the Liberator wedge and you had my legs strapped in and you had my hands just tied together, not strapped down. And the sunlight was coming in the window and it was bathing my body with the sunlight, and it was warm on my skin, but you blindfolded me. And so I couldn't, the light wasn't bothering my eyes, but I was warm and I was held down. And you were using the G-spot wand on me, and you were literally just melting me. I mean, I could feel like my lower chin was like wiggling back and forth, like it was loose, like it was like, and it was just a super hot moment. And I was so thankful for all your great ideas and how sexy you made me feel and how I could just completely relax and surrender. And that moment was so beautiful. That's sharing a frame, a snapshot of a moment that has a lot of physical experience to it. The warmth on my body, the light being blocked, being tied down, the melting feeling in my yoni from the wand, my chin kind of melting. When you do the frames, you do them in a very kinesthetic, physical sense. You're describing body feelings. And a lot of times when you describe a frame to your partner, they're like, oh, really? That was your favorite part? Because they wouldn't have known that was like your highlight moment.
Yeah. Wow. That's good though. I would never, when you think about talking dirty, you just think about those little, tidbits and things like that, not just going into the whole frame like how you said. So that's a really Good
you
tip.
love it?
I like that.
It's so
Yes.
sexy. And that keeps that's what your man is looking for too. He's
Mhm.
looking for that respect, appreciation, the feedback on job well done, and the flirtiness of that kind of a conversation where it's like, baby, when you did that, oh my God, man, no girl's getting that done to her. It's you, baby. You know, that's what they like.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of stuff here, but I did want to just touch on one thing. You mentioned like, you mentioned about like toys and sex toys.
Yeah.
So are there any like beginner sex toys that you can give our listeners tips on?
Yeah.
Someone that's new to, that experience as far as using like, sex toys or helping them in their, when it comes to like intimacy.
Yeah, definitely. So there's two things that came to my mind as you were asking me about that. The first is that there's a really good sex toy for couples that I like. Because not enough couples are integrating sex tech, if you will, into their lovemaking. Women are using sex toys for masturbation, but not during lovemaking. And some of my very favorite things are toy-based lovemaking play. So like yesterday, after, what did we do? I can't even remember. But right at the end, I mean, I don't remember what we did. We did like, who knows what. Usually we have a yoni massage, like our standard kind of one thing we do on like, school night kind of stuff is yoni massage and then intercourse. And sometimes there's oral and sometimes there's not, and whatever. But at the end, after intercourse, I've had orgasms from intercourse, but usually by that time, I'm like super warmed up because I've already had a yoni massage and I've already had intercourse. And so I'm like very engorged. All the tissue is good. I've had a bunch of orgasms and I want one big, giant last orgasm at the end because I'm an orgasm pig. This little piggy went to orgasm. So I like to use my vibrator at the end and I like to lay back on my husband and he's all like, and I throw a towel down on him and I lay back against him and I have him play with my nipples while I put a vibrator on my yoni. And I just have one, and sometimes I will ride that thing. Ride that thing and just come and come and come and come until I'm like, wow. And then I'm like, I throw the vibrator down and I collapse and I'm all like, ah. He's like, you good now? And I'm like, I am. I'm good now. Because sometimes the intercourse is actually still like getting us going, So that's one thing that I think is really good. There's another thing I really like. I got one right here. Hang on, I'll hold it up. I have giant piles of sex toys in my studio. This is called,
show the viewers.
This is called the NOS, N-O-S by Fun Factory. I love this. I think if you use promo code Susan, you can save money, but I don't remember. Try that. You'll probably save 10 or 15% off. NOS by Fun Factory. This is a vibrating penis ring. It goes on his penis and it will fit a smaller man and a larger man. It has got a really nice silicone that is very adjustable. And it has almost like a rabbit, two little ears that tickle the clitoris. And the reason I like this actually is that this is really fun for intercourse play, especially if she rides on top, especially if she likes to just both slide and grind. But what I also like is this is a darn good little handheld vibrator for when you're having intercourse and you want to like sneak a vibe down between the two of you onto your clitoral area. And you don't want a lot of muss and fuss or a big giant thing. This is like low profile. It also is conveniently purse sized and it's great for solo play. So you can get yourself off and you can use it during sex. It's not just a penis ring. It's a fantastic little kind of bullet vibe. It's more of a buzzy than a rub. It's kind of a perfect combination of buzz meets rumble.
Yeah.
So I really like this is like the number one thing I would say if you have a partner.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
then if you're a woman, if you're a clitoris owner,
Mhm.
Mhm.
then I think you should have the 5 different types of female sex toys there are, so that, and I mean, there's more than 5, but there's 5 basic categories.
Mhm.
And if you have all 5, then you can do what I like to call orgasmic cross training.
Mhm.
And I got that idea from another one of my mentors, Sherry Winston, who is just she was a baby catcher. She was a midwife.
Okay.
And she really knows her way around a yoni. That girl taught me
Mm.
so much about
Yeah.
female anatomy.
I'm sure delivering babies. I'm sure. Mhm.
You see a lot.
Yeah.
And and ecstatic births, which are just the best idea ever. One of my girlfriends she's my first close friend who's going to have an ecstatic birth.
Mhm.
And I'm so excited about that because most women have to go into the hospital and I'll come back to vibrators, don't worry. They have to get cut open, they got to get on drips and, it's
Yeah.
a sterile thing. And I think we are in a movement back to our homes and delivering our children, and it doesn't need to be painful, and it can be pleasurable and an incredible experience. And
Mhm.
I have a 25-year-old daughter who someday will have a child. I'm hoping, and so is she. She's not ready for it now, but she's going to get there. And
Yeah.
I want my baby to have an ecstatic birth because I did not get the pleasure of that with her.
Mhm.
Having her as my child has been ecstatic. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so we have so much pleasure available to us, and we have so many avenues to pleasure. Our human bodies male and female can have over 20 kinds of orgasms, stimulating different locations, using techniques, using toys and tools. And for women, the 5 types of vibrators, if you have them all and you regularly rotate through them, you're giving yourself you're expanding your orgasmic ability and potential. It's just like it's just like cross training, right? That's what it is. And so the first kind is, of course, a bullet vibe or a rumbly vibe, like a magic wand or a bullet or, that kind of thing. The second one is like one that is both like an air stimulator, like the womanizer, where it uses air stimulation, kind of like sucking kind of. And the third kind is like a licking type of a thing. Fun Factory makes one called the Volta, and that's like a little licker. One of my girlfriends, that's her favorite vibrator. For me, that's my number 5. That's not the one that's my favorite, but she loves that little licky thing.
Yeah.
Then the other kind is an internal, what would be called a thruster or a pulsator.
Mhm.
And that's one where it usually uses kind of like a weight, like a little weight that goes back and forth. So it kind of, you insert it in your vagina and it kind of like goes almost like a thrusting type of a thing, which gives you intravaginal stimulation.
Mhm.
And then there's the rabbit style, which has both the external and internal stimulation. So you're getting kind of the dual experience. Now you can get that by having an internal vibrator. One I like is called the Curve, Kurv. It's a G-spot, an internal vibrator by Hot Octopus. And you put that inside. I just did this the other day. I put that inside my vagina and just kind of left it resting in there. And I kind of clamped down on it with my yoni while I took my favorite bullet and put that outside up on my clitoris. So I used 2 toys at the same time.
Okay.
Another one that's really incredible is the Womanizer Duo, which is internal G-spot vibrator with external air stimulator. That thing gives me the most intense masturbatory orgasms of any sex toy that I have. Like they're those kind that are like,
Oh my gosh.
like that. So you want to have the ahs and you want to have the ahs, you gotta get them all, and different things stimulate different parts of your body in different ways that give you different experiences. And so I think all women should be building up a portfolio of these different styles of toys and doing this orgasmic cross training. Because then when you're with a partner, people are like, well, isn't that going to make it so I can't have an orgasm with a partner? I'm like, oh no, it's the opposite. opposite. The
Right.
more you do it, the better you get. The better you get, the more you want. The more you want, the
Right.
better you do. So I'm gonna
Wow. Wow. I
You're
feel
like,
like
"Now I gotta go shopping. I'll see you guys later.
right.
I gotta get online now."
Right. I'm
Right.
taking notes of all the curve.
I can
everything.
send you links to everything if you want me to. Just let me know if you want me to, and I can send you links to it all. Because
Okay.
it is kind of hard to find them. Is this the one she was talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I have learned so much.
Yes, I have. I've been really educated today on like
Yes.
intimacy, love language, dirty talk, communicating.
Yes.
All
So I
great.
want to ask you. So, Sheeta and Nikki,
Mhm.
what was your key takeaway for yourself? Your personal key takeaway today? What's the thing you're going to walk out of here today and change or do or try? Like, what was that one?
Yeah. So for me, it would be more of love language because I have a partner. We communicate, but it's when it comes to like intimacy, we don't communicate as much as I would want. I mean, he's probably okay. But just the love language and just the dirty talk, just getting comfortable, that icebreaker, getting comfortable with just expressing what we want, what I want, and what he wants, and just acting it out and doing it. So that's definitely a takeaway for me.
Yeah. I feel far as with me, it's the aspect of communication. You know, don't be afraid to communicate exactly what it is and how to have those uncomfortable talks and let your partner know, like, you know, we can make this fun. Let's try this. Let's do this, you know, without feeling embarrassed, you know, and it's going to help him as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can see there's going to be a lot more conversation going on between you and your partners. That's great.
Yeah.
Right. Every day you want something different. Just ask for whatever sounds fun. It's all fun and you can laugh about everything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
So you want to let our listeners know how they can get in touch with you, Susan?
Well, if you download any of those things that we talked about, Sexual Soulmates book, Dirty Talk book, if you download those, you'll be on my email Sex Tips newsletter. You can opt out anytime.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Susan Bratton, SUSAN BRATTON, Susan Bratton. And I have a really good video website, betterlover.com, with hundreds of free videos on everything from yoni massage to how to use a penis pump to dirty talk to sex positions to what the anatomy looks like. You name it, it's all there. And
Yeah.
those usually lead to different articles and things that I've written so you can find out more.
Yeah.
Great.
So the Sexual Soulmate, that's the book that you're giving for free.
Yeah.
So you'll send
Yeah.
us that link.
Sexualsoulmatesbook.com is
Okay.
the free download, the free PDF of the book, and you just
Okay.
have to go there. And then Dirty Talk book is also free.
Okay.
And if you want to learn about the penis pumps, it's at Pumping Guide, GUID, pumpingguide.com, and that's free as well. Yeah,
Okay.
those are all free things. You know, I give a lot away that's free. I mean, honestly, there are people who've been reading my Sex Tips newsletter for 15 years who've never bought anything, but I don't mind. I mean, some people want to buy things and some people want all the free stuff, and it's good. It's good for me. I'm just happy to help people and meet
Yeah.
people wherever they are. You know, it all, I'm fine. It all works. So I give
Yeah.
a lot away for free because you have to learn, you have to be like, oh, I like her. I trust her. I want to know more from her.
Yeah.
And so thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show and to meet your fans and followers so that they might decide for themselves that I might be someone who can help them. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Yes. Yes. So we definitely want to have you back. So
I'd love to come back anytime.
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
around.
'Cause I feel like we only touched a little bit of really
know.
what you discuss on your website. So yeah, we would definitely love to have you back again and
You
talk
got it.
about some more intimacy topics.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I got a second date.
Yeah.
Second date with Sheeta and Nikki. Ooh.
Yes. Okay.
You two are so cute, so pretty, so nice. Thanks. You did a great job studying up and getting ready for this too. So thank you.
Yeah. Hey y'all. So I hope you all enjoyed today's episode with Miss Susan Bratton. So make sure you all follow her on Instagram at Susan Bratton to get some more information. So we want to close out today's episode with a takeaway. And this takeaway is actually from Susan Bratton herself. She says, see yourself as the beautiful, loving being that you are, capable and deserving of pleasure and connection. Susan Bratton.
Yes, love it.
Yes.
Yes. So make sure that you are going to check out this episode on our YouTube channel, which is Real Conversations with Sheeta and Nikki podcast. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram page, Real Conversations 21, Facebook, Real Conversations with Sheeta and Nikki, and also our TikTok, Sheeta and Nikki. And we thank you guys so much for watching.
See ya.
On the real.